Hello, my name is Stephen Tutle, and today we are using ChatGPT to write customized letters for home communication. But what is ChatGPT? Well, it's an artificial intelligence language model developed by OpenAI. It is designed to understand and generate human-like text based on the input it receives. But what's the actual problem? Well, writing letters to parents takes a lot of time, so any way we could reduce that amount of time would be very beneficial. But why do we care about letters to parents in the first place? Well, according to Kraft and Doherty from Harvard Graduate School of Education, on average, teacher-family communication increased the odds that students completed their homework by 40%, decreased instances in which teachers had to redirect students' attention to the task at hand by 25%, and increased class participation rates by 15%. But how does this match up with standards? Well, the NetS wants us to involve technology to enhance learning and increase productivity, which obviously I'll show you how that is true, and use technology resources for solving problems. Well, again, I'm going to show you how we solve this problem of writing letters to parents. What about NetS-T? Well, we need to collaborate with parents and community members using digital tools and resources to support student success and innovation. But how do we use it effectively? Well, let's go check out ChatGPT and learn for ourselves. So, first off, when you go to chatgpt.com, it's going to want you to log in, which is a very simple process. If you've ever created an account with a website, you'll know how to do it with this one. And then you're going to go up here, create new chat, and it's going to give you an empty window here, but obviously it's not empty because I've gone ahead and done some prompts. And then you're going to write in something like I did above. So, I need to write a letter to a parent named Chris about their son Jim. It's about Jim's 8th grade geometry grades. He is a delight to teach in class, but is having trouble remembering formulas for finding areas of 3D objects like spheres. So obviously what I'm trying to do is write to Chris about his son Jim, and Jim is having some trouble remembering formulas. Now, I could write out just a very simple, hey, Chris, Jim is struggling with his area formulas. Maybe help him out. That's not very good. We can do better. So, ChatGPT actually drafted this great letter for me. I'm not going to read it all, but you can see just some highlights. It talks about Jim and his progress in our 8th grade geometry class, and all sorts of other stuff, referencing three-dimensional objects, spheres, cones, and cylinders, stuff I didn't even say, but it put in there just for further examples. Understanding these formulas is a fundamental part of our geometry curriculum. Again, none of that I put in here, but all of which is true. And then down here, I believe that with consistent effort and support, Jim will be able to improve his understandings of these formulas. Very strong letter, but I don't personally like to write this long of letters because I don't want people to be looking at this and say, ugh, I have to read a whole page worth of letter. So what I did was, first what I did was I wanted to personalize it a bit more, and I just pretended that Jim played basketball and I happened to hear about last night's game. So I wanted it to write a similar letter, but mention that I'm proud of how Jim did in last night's basketball game. Give it a little bit of personal touch to it. So what did it do? Well, it wrote basically the same letter, but now it actually brings in how he did last night in the basketball game. Okay. But again, a little bit too long for me. So what did I do? I just gave it a simple prompt. Can you shorten it to 3 paragraphs? And my favorite thing about ChatGPT is it says, sure. And then gives you this nice little prompt. So it condensed it all the way down. It still has the same key stuff that I wanted in there, telling, how proud I was of his performance in last night's basketball game, his trouble with finding volume and areas. It mentions that I'm offering additional practice sessions, which I didn't explicitly say, but that's usually true for me. And in the first prompt, you can actually mention and I'm going to show this here in a second, you can actually mention, hey, I'm doing practice sessions at X time. So pretty good letter, but I want it to be a little bit better. So now I'm telling it to include that I'm offering after-school study sessions on Tuesdays from 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. So very very close to the same letter, except now it says Tuesday is from 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. Great. I think this letter is fantastic. But you're probably thinking, well, that was a lot of effort, and I feel like I could have probably just written this letter by myself by the time I had done all this, which is probably true. But here's where the powerful part comes in. Now, with this next prompt, I am writing to a parent named Gary and his daughter named Amanda. What I said was, now do a similar, and similar is the key word here, letter to a parent named Gary and his daughter named Amanda. Except this time, instead of areas and volume, she is having trouble paying attention in class and her grades are slipping. So it still took in the fact that I wanted it shorter, and it gave suggestions like, study sessions from from 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. And it gave some reasonings like, I also encourage regular check-ins at home to discuss her day and her assignments. So this is actually a very useful letter to write home about. Let's do one more. So do a similar letter again, but this time to Ben and his son Jerry. Jerry is having trouble with keeping track of his materials. On multiple occasions, he has forgotten his homework at home. So third unique problem, but it still wrote up a very similar letter. It's still customized, it's still personal, but this time it says, I've noticed that he has been having some difficulty keeping track of his materials, and on multiple occasions he has forgotten to bring his homework to school. Perfect. So now it's actually suggesting setting up a consistent routine for checking his backpack each evening to ensure all necessary materials are packed for the next day. Now it's important to remember, this was the only thing I wrote, but it extrapolated and said, you know what, this letter has to do with, having trouble finding assignments and keeping track of them. Let's write about that. So it wrote about that automatically. And now all I have to do is put in my name, my position, school name, and all that jazz. And boom, this email is ready to go. So extremely powerful tool that I highly recommend people take advantage of. And that's it. So I have my source. So the study was found by, again, Kraft and Daughtery. You can find the journal here. This is how they wanted it to be sourced in the actual paper. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you next time.